Welcome children of class 10, and today we are into the last part of the chapter acid bases salts in chemistry, and this is the last portion of salts where we are studying about the properties of salt. So children, general properties of salts are that salts are electrovalent compounds and they conduct electricity in their molten state or as well as in their aqueous state due to their dissociation into ions. Now children, salts are non-volatile solids and can form crystals. And the next is the solubility of salt, which we already have discussed before, but most of the salts are soluble in water and their degree of solubility in water varies with temperature. So the solubility depends on temperature, and this children you can see with the help of this figure which is given over here, that some of the salts are given, and as the temperature is increasing their solubility is also increasing in grams. For example, potassium nitrate, when the temperature increases its solubility increases. Potassium bromide, its solubility increases. And if you see potassium chloride, its solubility increases. Then potassium chlorate, its solubility increases. Potassium sulfate, and you can see it with the diagram, but there are two exceptions given in this figure. One is sodium chloride, that is NaCl, and we see that the change in temperature does not affect the solubility since it is a straight line in the graph. And then there are some salts. One is calcium sulfate, where the solubility increases with temperature and then it decreases. Now children, some salts are soluble in water, some are insoluble, and some are very slightly soluble in water. So how do we define these salts as soluble or insoluble salts or very sparingly soluble salt? The method of doing it is that if at least 1 gram or more of a substance can be dissolved in 100 ml of water at 298 Kelvin, it is called soluble salt. So all those salts where at least 1 gram or more can be dissolved in 100 ml of water at 298 Kelvin, it is called as soluble salt. And children, if you see that if 0.1 gram to 1 gram of a substance can be dissolved in 100 ml water at 298 Kelvin, it is called as partially soluble salts. And if less than 0.1 gram of a substance can be dissolved in 100 ml of water at 298 kelvins, it is called as insoluble salts. Now children, we come to the salts, and here is the chart which is showing us the solubility of different salt. And first thing you have to remember children, that all the compounds of ammonium, sodium and potassium, they are soluble in water. Any salt of potassium, sodium and ammonium, sodium carbonate, sodium nitrate, sodium sulfate, sodium chloride, or any other salt of sodium, potassium and ammonium, they are soluble. So you have to learn these points. And then children, all the nitrites and nitrites are soluble. All the compounds, all the nitrates and nitrites, they are soluble in water. Then next children, all chlorides, bromides, iodides, that is all the halides, they are soluble in water. And there are some exceptions, and they are that mercury chloride, silver chloride and lead chloride, they are insoluble. But lead chloride is soluble in hot water and it is insoluble in cold water. Then children, all the sulfates are soluble. All the sulfates are soluble, and the exceptions over here are that calcium, lead and barium sulfates are insoluble. Then children, all carbonates, sulfides, phosphates, they all are insoluble. But if you see the first point, except carbonate, sulfate, sulfides of ammonium, sodium and potassium, they are insoluble, they are soluble. So children, note all metallic oxides and hydroxides, they are insoluble except again sodium, potassium and ammonium. And calcium hydroxide is slightly soluble in water. Then children, sodium bicarbonate and potassium bicarbonate, they are sparingly soluble in water. Now the next property is children, hydrolysis of salt. Hydrolysis means addition of water. Now children, the phenomena due to which Salt formed by a weak acid and a strong base, or by a strong acid and a weak base, reacts with water to give an acidic or an alkaline solution, and this is known as hydrolysis. So children, as we all know, that acid reacts with bases to form salt and water. Now here it says that if the acid is strong and weak, if base is weak, or vice versa, that is the base is strong and acid is weak, then when these salts they hydrolyze, they react with water, they are going to give an alkaline or an acidic solution accordingly. For example, children, salts formed from strong base like NaOH or KOH and weak acids like carbonic acid, acetic acid, when they hydrolyze in water, they give alkaline solution and they have a pH value of more than 7. For example, sodium carbonate, potassium acetate. If you see children, sodium carbonate, when it dissolves, it gives you, when it hydrolyzes, it gives you a weak acid, that is carbonic acid, and a strong base. So children, this salt in water is going to show the property of an alkali or of a base. Then in the same way children, potassium acetate, that is CS3COOK, when it hydrolyzes in water, it gives you a weak acid, that is acetic acid CS3COOH, and a strong alkali, it also shows the property of a alkali or a base. Then children, a salt of strong acid and weak base hydrolyze in water to give acidic solution since the acid is strong. For example, ferric chloride, copper sulfate, aluminum chloride, ammonium sulfate. If you see ferric chloride plus water, it gives you a strong acid HCl and a weak base ferric hydroxide. So this ferric salt in water is going to show the property of acidic. Then copper sulfate, when it hydrolyzes in water, it gives you a strong acid, sulfuric acid, and a weak base, that is copper hydroxide. So it shows the property of acid. Then salts derived from strong acid and strong bases like NaCl, sodium sulfate, potassium nitrate, they gives a neutral solution since both the acid is strong and the base is strong. Then children, salts formed from weak base like ammonium hydroxide and weak acid like acetic acid may be acidic, alkaline, or neutral depending upon the dissociated ions and undissociated molecule. For example, ammonium acetate, ammonium carbonate, they can show the property of an alkali, they can show the property of an acidic in nature, or they may be neutral. Then children, some salts unite with a definite quantity of water which is known as water of crystallization. So water of crystallization is in loose chemical combination with the salt, and it can be driven out by heating the crystal of these salts above 100 degrees centigrade. Now children, in some salts you might have seen a water molecule attached to it, like in copper sulfate. Copper sulfate is CuSO4.5H2O. This 5H2O is water of crystallization. This is called as hydrated copper sulfate, or it can be called as pentahydrate copper sulfate, since 5 molecules of water are there. Now children, if we heat this water of crystallization is lost, and that is removed from the molecule, and if you see their physical state, then hydrated copper sulfate, that is CuSO4.5H2 is blue crystalline form, and when this water molecule gets removed from it, it becomes white powder. So copper sulfate without water of crystallization is white powder. In the same way children, some other examples of these salts are given like washing soda. Washing soda is sodium carbonate decahydrate, that is sodium carbonate 10H2O. Then we have Epsom salt, that is magnesium sulfate heptahydrate MgSO4.7H2O. Then we have potash alum, this is potassium aluminum sulfate .24H2O. Then we have sodium sulfate decahydrate Na2SO4.10H2O. Then we have copper sulfate pentahydrate, that is copper sulfate .5H2O. And children, these have been given some common names which you can see from here. Copper sulfate is called blue vitriol, sodium sulfate is called Glauber's salt, and hydrated potassium aluminum sulfate is called potash alum, this way. Then plaster of Paris, children, this is calcium sulfate semihydrate, that is calcium sulfate dot half H2O. Then we have zinc sulfate heptate, that is ZnSO4 dot 7 H2O. This is called as white vitriol. Then we have hydrated calcium sulfate, that is CaSO4 dot 2H2O, this we called as gypsum. So children, if you see, these salts are hydrated salts and they are containing water of crystallization. Then children, the water vapor produced can be tested. If you remove this water by heating it in the form of water vapor, it can be checked by cobalt chloride, which turns blue to pale pink. So if you react this water of crystallization, water vapor, with cobalt chloride, it is going to turn. The liquid water turns cobalt chloride paper pale pink, almost colorless. So children, this is regarding the water of crystallization. And now children, we come to the next part, that all the crystalline salts, they do not contain water of crystallization, like NaCl, which is common salt. It comes in the form of crystals, but it do not contain water of crystallization. Then niter, potassium nitrate, then sugar molecules, potassium permanganate, KMnO4, ammonium chloride, they come as crystals, but these crystals or these salts do not contain water of crystallization. Now children, on heating, crystals of sodium chloride produce a cracking sound, and this is called as decrepitation, and this is due to the higher crystal breaking up into smaller ones. So children, many times we see that when you heat these crystals, a cracking sound comes, and a bigger crystal is broken down into smaller ones. Now children, there are few terms which we are coming up, that is efflorescence. Now efflorescence, children, is the property of some salt to lose wholly or partially their water of crystallization when their crystals are exposed to dry air even for short time. They become powdery. Such substances are called as efflorescent substances. And efflorescent substances lose their water of crystallization, and thus their crystalline shape becomes powdery when exposed to air. And some examples of efflorescent substances are washing soda, that is hydrated sodium carbonate. This is when exposed to dry air become uh, monohydrate sodium carbonate, that is Na2CO3 dot 10H2O. In dry air, children, it loses 9 water molecules and it becomes Na2CO3 dot H2O, and it loses its crystalline form. The next is Glauber's salt, that is sodium sulfate dot 10H2O. It is hydrated sodium sulfate becomes powdery anhydrous sodium sulfate when exposed to air, so it is losing its water of crystallization. Epsom salt, it also loses magnesium sulfate heptahydrate when exposed to dry air becomes monohydrate, and it loses. The higher the temperature of the air, the higher the efflorescence. This is because the air absorbs more water with rising temperature and decreasing moisture. Then the next type of substance, children, are the hygroscopic substance. Now some salts absorb moisture or water vapor from the atmosphere without dissolving in it. Such substances are called hygroscopic substance, and this phenomena is called as hygroscopy. So children, some salts can absorb moisture from the atmosphere without dissolving in it. This will come to know just a little while. Now some examples of hygroscopic substances are, that is concentrated sulfuric acid, phosphorus pentoxide, quicklime, silica gel. So children, these substances or these salts can be used like concentrated sulfuric acid, phosphorus pentoxide as a drying agent because they absorb moisture. And the third type of substances, children, are deliquescent substance. These substances also absorb water from the atmosphere, but they dissolve more water in such a way that they themselves dissolve in it. So certain water soluble substances, when exposed to atmosphere at ordinary temperature, absorb moisture from the atmospheric air and become moist, and ultimately dissolve in the atmosphere, absorb water, forming a saturated solution. So there is a slight difference between hygroscopic and deliquescent. They both absorb water, but deliquescent substance absorb water and they themselves dissolve in it, forming a saturated solution. And such substances are called as deliquescent substances, and the phenomena is called as deliquescence. And examples are children NaOH, caustic soda, caustic potash, KOH, MgCl2, ZnCl2, calcium chloride, ferric chloride, zinc nitrate, copper nitrate. They all are deliquescent substances. Now deliquescence occurs when the vapor pressure of the salt is much lower compared to the atmospheric vapor pressure. The deliquescence is minimized during dry condition, whereas efflorescence is maximized in dry condition. So children, if deliquescence occur at the when there is moisture in the air, more moisture in the air, and temperature is less, so more deliquescence occur. And the other is this we have to see. Efflorescent substances lose their weight, while hygroscopic and deliquescent substances gain their weight when exposed to atmosphere. This is because efflorescent substances lose their water molecules, so they lose their weight, and hygroscopic and deliquescent substance they gain water molecule, and so their weight is increase. Now children, take table salt, that is the common salt which you use for cooking, and it is sodium chloride, and it turns moist and ultimately forms a solution on exposure to air, especially during rainy season. You might have seen salt on in a plate, and during rainy season you see that it becomes moist and ultimately dissolves in it. Though pure NaCl is not deliquescent, but this commercial salt version of salt, this contains impurities like magnesium chloride and calcium chloride, which are deliquescent. So that salt become deliquescent or become dissolved in water due to the impurities of magnesium chloride and calcium chloride, and these are deliquescent. This kind of impurity can be removed by passing a current of dry hydrogen chloride gas through a saturated solution of the affected salt. And children, dry hydrogen chloride gas is a very good absorber of moisture. It is having high affinity for moisture, so it absorbs moisture. And pure sodium chloride is produced as a precipitate, which can be recovered by filtering and washing, first with little water and finally with alcohol. So children, these three types of salt you must know: efflorescent salt, and hygroscopic, and deliquescent. Now we come to the next property, that is drying and dehydrating. Now children, these are two terms where water is molecule removed. Now drying means, children, when we remove physically water from somewhere, like I take a bath and I dry myself with a towel, that is drying. And sometimes children, I got dehydrated where water from my body chemically get lost, that is dehydration. So certain substances remove moisture from other substances and are therefore called desiccants or desiccating agent or drying agent. Almost all hygroscopic substances are desiccating. Examples are concentrated sulfuric acid, phosphorus pentoxide, silica gel, and quicklime. And dehydrating substances are substances that can remove water molecule even from the compound. Like concentrated sulfuric acid can remove water molecule from blue vitriol, so it is a dehydrating. Now children, we must know the difference between drying and dehydrating. So the in drying agent they remove moisture from other substances, whereas dehydrating they remove chemically combined element of water in the ratio of 2:1, that is hydrogen is to oxygen from the compound. Then in drying, they are used to dry gases like chlorine, sulfur dioxide, hydrogen chloride, etc. They are also used in desiccators to keep substances dry. And here, children, in dehydration, they prepare substances, a new substance like carbon monoxide, sugar, charcoal, etc. So a chemical change takes place over here. And in drying, drying represents physical change, whereas dehydration represents a chemical change. And some of the drying agents are phosphorus pentoxide, fused calcium chloride, calcium oxide, sulfuric acid. And children, examples of concentrated sulfuric acid are H2SO4, concentrated H2SO4. So children, this is very important chapter, a longest chapter we have studied, that is acid, bases and salts. I hope you have followed this chapter. Now children, you have to study this chapter, but for the upcoming unit test, which are going to begin from 18th onward, I have not included this chapter since it will be a paper of only half an hour. So you have to prepare only chapter 1, that is periodic table and periodic properties and chemical bond. But I will take a separate test in this chapter after this test gets over. And it is very important, children, just follow each and everything. If you have not followed anything in this chapter, please ask me, and try to do all the question answers of this chapter in a register, and we are going to check those register, and at the time of internal assessment marks will be awarded to those registers also, as 20 marks internal assessments will be done in the boards. So children, you have to write all these question answers, it will help you. Okay, thank you. We have finished the chapter, and we will be continuing with the other chapters soon, since we have to finish the course also. Thank you very much, children.